Alright, so we're this far, so far. Just what I might advise you to do is kind of pick up the sides of the jacket a little bit, just so they're not sticking to the green. But yeah, we're gonna do the final part now, which is hopefully we can get the legs done in their entirety right now. So this again is where the Nintendo 64 stuff is kind of going to help us a little bit more, because the legs are kind of really small and blocky. So a moderately sized green piece for right here. Maybe as long as I'd say as long as the green part of the vest on the arm, but a lot thicker, clearly. But I'd say maybe just as long as that. Um, so yeah, I guess that's that. We're gonna finally open our gray, which is the last color we have to use that I said we were going to need. And we're going to take some and kind of sculpt a shape like this. So this should probably be a little smaller than this leg piece. That's what I would say. And then simply, I'm going to do kind of the foot and see how that all looks. The foot is pretty much a small piece like that, and just flattened out like that. I would say something looking like this. So I'm just gonna see how this looks, because again, like I said, he's kind of small, I feel like. So that's a pretty good size. However, I'm going to just add a little circle kind of to the bottom here. It looks like there's a little kind of circular piece on the artwork, and I do want to kind of make him a little bit taller. But we're going to use toothpicks again for this part. So toothpick, I'm going to put it all the way through the leg like this. This leg should be, or this piece should be somewhat flat, all the way through there, with this out the little end. Need some more toothpick, and then put that through there. And I'm kind of gonna just push stuff on, do a bit of sculpting, but like I said, this part of the model looks the most kind of like N64 styled. And then I'll put that on and see how that looks. That looks pretty good like that. So I'm just going to do a little bit of modification. Maybe make the foot slightly thicker by adding some clay to the top. And I feel like this back piece actually is a little bit thin. The toothpick seems to be having some trouble, so just add some clay there. But you kind of want to make sure, where this leg piece and the foot connect. You want to make sure that's a little bit thinner, though, because it should be. So that, I feel like I'm kind of using just sculpting capabilities more than actually a technique, really. Stick that in. Then like this, and we'll see how that looks. So like I said, I like how that looks. We're pretty much going to do that again. Maybe it can be a little bit more concise this time. So, with the last of our green, hopefully I'm not really going to need a whole lot of this for any more clay tutorials, which I probably will, but I'll have to just kind of restock. That actually might be even a little too big, because we want to make sure it's the same size, so. That might even be a little too big. Because we gotta put 2 legs in this small little section. And it has to be in the same size, so. Alright, that's good. That's good. Just make sure it's the same size pretty much. Oh, and we are actually not done. I completely forgot a major component of Fox that I seem to forget on most characters' backsides. That being spikes or a tail or whatever. In this Fox's case, it's a tail. So, we're going to have to do that too. I guess, you can just take, I didn't actually put this on yet because I'm going to do it a specific way. But you can just take that and kind of see how it looks for size. Trying to think of more stuff I could maybe talk about while I'm kind of just showing this, because again, I said it's more kind of raw sculpting than actual, technique. But Star Fox 64, yeah. I was never really, well, maybe it's just because I didn't grow up with it like most people who say it's the best Star Fox game, but Star Fox Assault was my first Star Fox game, and I just have to say that game is just so much better than 64. I don't know why. I just like Assault so much better, and I don't think it's because of any nostalgia or anything, because when I played Star Fox Assault, I actually thought it was a really kind of weird game to begin with. I didn't like Zelda and stuff at first. I thought Star Fox was kind of a really just weird game. But then after a while, I ended up liking Assault a little bit more. And, then when I kind of liked Star Fox and kind of went through that game a little bit, and then I heard of the fans saying Star Fox 64 is the best Star Fox game, I ended up a few years ago buying it on the Virtual Console, and I played it, and I really didn't like it. And that probably is because I was kind of conditioned to playing as Fox kind of on foot and, with the different blaster weapons and stuff like that. And I really look for that in a Star Fox game, so I think I was in a sense disappointed with 64. That's not to say I like bash on it. I mean, we're sculpting artwork from it, for crying out loud, and it's an entertaining game, but I get very bored with it because I don't like all of the R-wing levels. I think it should be like Assault, like I said, and kind of broken up, where you're some on foot, some you're in the R-wings, but that's just my preference. Who knows when we're actually going to get another Star Fox game of any kind that isn't a remake, 64 3DS. So, yeah, with that said, I kind of finished this leg, and again, it was, again, more technique, or more raw sculpting than a real technique. But as long as they look, skinny, this kind of part, and then down here, where the foot is, looks a little bit, more like a foot. That should be good. And then you might want to just flatten it out, maybe do some stuff with, making it look polygonal. So before we put the legs on, we got to do the belt, which I've always done this way, and I'm going to do it this way again. Circle, flatten it out as flat as you can. Make sure you have enough clay. And we're going to put it right kind of where the torso is. You can kind of push it up a little bit too, I guess. Just all the way around, like that, so it looks kind of like a belt, and then little white part right there. That was the second leg. I think I did this leg first. And then these should pretty much go right in like that. And I kind of want to do, well, I guess we're not really ready for a pose or whatever, but you might just want to kind of push them up there, make sure that they're in. I mean, if we use toothpicks, so there shouldn't be much of a problem there, but you just kind of want to make sure. We have to do the tail, which is what I was talking about, so we should probably do that before we actually get into poses and stuff. I don't think Fox had a very big tail in the 64 era, to my knowledge. So we'll kind of make it not so much short and stumpy, but maybe this size. So the size of his arm, that's actually, Maybe a little bit smaller. We'll say we'll base it off of his arm, but we'll say um, from his hand to probably about this white part. That's a pretty good size for a tail. I'm gonna put some different coloring on it, which is yellow. We gotta go back to our yellow. So how I would do this is kind of make a triangle, put my finger kind of in it, make a little hole in the top of it, and then put the point from the tail into the hole and kind of just push the clay on like that. And that's essentially the tail. And then you can kind of just use your finger to, like, do some stuff like that. Make it look like a tail. We have to put a toothpick in this because it will not go into his body otherwise. Tail. And it kind of works out nice because there's a little area where the legs, where there's kind of this overlap, or not overlap, but there's no overlap. It's just kind of a blank area, and we can put the tail right in there. Make sure that the toothpick doesn't kind of come out, which it shouldn't, because the tail is actually somewhat straight. But see, little toothpick right there. Hate when that happens. Then you can kind of point it, and I wanted to just do a couple little things. It's kind of going to be hard to lay them down now, but I'm going to use some toothpicks to kind of cut some areas around here. Just to kind of make his feet look a little bit better. I feel like they're a little too big and clunky, so just take care of that. I don't normally, I kind of say, well, you should probably make them a little bit bigger because you're going to need them to stand up. But in this case, I'm kind of going to do the baking instruction stuff a little bit differently because I don't feel like he's going to be able to stand up, and I'll tell you some stuff about past episodes and stuff where that's been a problem. So first off is, before we do that, and I kind of like how I ended up doing this, for some reason this leg is kind of like tilted like that, but that's good because I wanted him kind of like the artwork a little bit back like that, and you can probably just do that by kind of pulling the leg back. Just make sure that you don't, the toothpick doesn't come out or anything. And then I'm going to pull this leg forward and just kind of going to do that. I'm going to turn his foot a little bit like that. So I'm going to think of the best way to do this after I end this part.